to the left. Eyes scanned the crowd, cheerfully chatting at the party, then suddenly stopped, noticing a figure standing pensively by the window. Hyun-guk quietly observed the scene outside. Suddenly, a sigh broke the silence. So boring, causing everyone to turn their heads. Jun approached Hyun-guk, chattering nonstop. Everyone's having fun, but that AI is making things awkward. Hearing the jab at himself, Hyun-guk blurted out, "Ah," then lowered his head. "Sorry, I just..." Before he could finish, the other man continued to tease. "Oh, are you crying?" Feeling hurt, Hyun-guk opened up, seeing everyone so happy. "It reminds me of the brothers we lost. So, if I were stronger, maybe I could have saved them." Jun gently patted Hyun-guk's shoulder, comforting him. "Come on, this drink is to remember our fallen comrades. Accept your mediocrity, you useless fool." Jong-un, with his arms crossed behind his head, casually mocked, "Fool, how can you change what's already in the past? Do you think you have the power to reverse time like in some fairy tale and recreate everything? Look at the accomplishments you've made in the present, the lives you've saved with your own abilities. Without your existence, the mages of the Rapid Response Team would have perished on the battlefield long ago," he emphasized, "and the talented blacksmiths of the Creation Team would be slaves to the dark forces." Fake Seal was downing an entire bottle of liquor, prompting those beside him to plead, "Elder, please don't drink anymore." Jong-un wasn't finished. The search team's casualty rate wouldn't have just stopped at 9%. Finally, he made a throat-slitting gesture, delivering his final verdict. "All of us could very well have been completely annihilated." Suddenly, he spoke, causing Jong-un to momentarily falter. "Is that so?" Hui-guk, consumed by grief, softly muttered, "If only I could turn back time, I would definitely save everyone. Every time we carry out a mission, you drown in sorrow, reliving the devastation of that day. I can't stop thinking about our fallen comrades." He pointed at him, his face filled with frustration. "They charged into battle, knowing death could come at any moment. So did we. And every single time, you were the one who saved us." His voice started to become sharper. "Stop worrying about what-ifs. Focus on your duties as a captain." Jong-un suggested, "Let's go grab a few drinks to unwind." As soon as he finished, Unha grabbed his ear. "Are you deliberately provoking the captain?" She firmly disciplined the insolent defense team member. "We won't let you get away with this." He yelled, "Mercy, I just want to cheer him up." Hui-guk, startled, skillfully avoiding the argument. Ignoring him, she continued to scold. "Aren't you the one causing a scene?" He then signaled to his subordinates. They quickly moved to gag Choi Jun and drag him away. "Go drink your beloved soju," Yinha said to everyone. "Just ignore him. Choi Jun is always like this." Then she turned to Lee Gu-yong and asked, "Are you all right?" He looked embarrassed. "You didn't have to do that." Hearing that, Yinha put her hands on her hips angrily and said, "What do you mean? We're your bodyguards. Looking after you is part of our job." Choi Jun, even though he was being dragged towards the door, still didn't forget to shout, "You're coddling him. If you keep doing that, he'll always be weak and dependent." Chuckles began to erupt. Then, like magic, it spread throughout the party. Everyone, holding plates of food, burst into laughter. Go Dollman exclaimed, "You guys are really close, huh?" Minhui obediently nodded in agreement. He put on his hat and walked away, muttering cryptic words that left him puzzled. This scene is quite touching, albeit a little unsettling. Two guards standing beneath the building heard the cheerful laughter. Envy filled their hearts. "Tisk, these cops are getting way too out of hand. I've been looking forward to this fine drink for a long time," the man beside him suggested. "But I heard there's instant ramen in this shipment. How about a hot bowl of noodles after our shift?" Just then, the two guards noticed Don emerging from a dark corner and asked curiously, "Huh, where are you going?" Don replied, "My role is over. You can rest now too." Despite getting an answer, the guard was still confused. Suddenly, a bat covered in sharp scales emerged from behind them. Lightning-fast serpent demons impaled the two guards. Don laughed loudly and muttered, "Today is also your death anniversary." From outside, a horde of ferocious serpent demons began. They swarmed into the building, razor-sharp fangs piercing through bodies in the blink of an eye, the death toll rising rapidly. A young underling, witnessing the horror from afar, trembled in fear. Just before the serpentine demons reached him, he managed to report the sudden intrusion into his radio. An earth-shattering explosion rocked the entire space. Everyone was startled by the terrifying sound. The merriment abruptly ceased. A brother reacted swiftly immediately ordering everyone into battle positions. As soon as he finished speaking, a terrifying surge of energy from outside slammed into them. The wall exploded, throwing everyone back. Seo Han, wielding blood-soaked blades, strode in menacingly. Running, the brother shouted, "Get Lord Gotan out of here." Minhai replied, "He's gone missing." "What the hell are you talking about?" "Unbelievable," the young man yelled. Emergency announcements blared. "Lockdown Building C. Lockdown Building." Metal shutters slammed down, attempting to contain the ferocious demons. Another urgent announcement blared, filled with panic. Sectors D and B have completely fallen. The demons are using their own bodies to block the doors, clearing a path for the others to pour in. A soldier frantically reported over the radio, his voice trembling with each word. "They're moving with precision, like they know every inch of this building. At this rate, we won't be able to hold out much longer." Hyung-guk gritted his teeth, trying to analyze the dire situation. Then he suddenly roared, "Everyone, retreat immediately. I'll stay behind and hold them off. Get out of here." Outside, the ground trembled violently under the weight of the approaching enemy army. Each heavy footstep of the demon colossus sounded like a war drum, heralding imminent destruction. Juno watched his screaming subordinates from behind, a look of annoyance on his face. "So noisy. Sending a few soldiers would have been enough," he said with disdain. "Why mobilize such a massive army to exterminate these insects?" Tens of thousands of soldiers and demons swarmed the area, creating a scene of utter chaos. Atop the demon colossus, a long-haired figure sat regally, emanating an aura of chilling cold. A terrified scream echoed, "That thing, it's disgusting." Suddenly, he realized something was amiss. He gasped in astonishment, "Chompy!" The vanguard hastily reporting, "That is Tao Hu Shi. Primary target. Eliminate Tao Hu Shi." The enemy commanders charged forward simultaneously. A terrified report rang out. High-level enemy presence confirmed. The vanguard raised their lances, unleashing a barrage of magic energy blasts down upon the enemy ranks. But the situation remained dire. "We're under attack by the entire enemy force," a brother exclaimed worriedly. "Damn it." The search team's comms crackled to life. "Operating with Rapid Assault Squad. Moving to primary target location." Someone protested. "What the hell are you doing? Get back here immediately." Jong-hun's group stealthily slipped out through a side passage, cleverly evading the enemy forces. He replied, "The primary target is Tao Hu Shi. Even members of the traitorous faction are present. If we miss this opportunity, we'll have to wait for another attack. Do you recognize this?" He quickly replied, "This is our chance. But I'm not ready to use magic on ordinary people." He quickly cast a spell and leaped out the window. Landing before the crowd, he yelled, "If anything goes wrong, you will all pay with your lives." Minhui urged John Jun, "Hurry up and get out of here." I'm not ready." He ignored the advice and continued to run. "I told you, we knew the risks. When we signed up for this research, get a grip. We have to do what we have to do." He was stunned by the resolute response. Beck Seal's voice came over the radio. "The underground manufacturing facility has been reinforced to withstand the meteor impact." She continued, "Don't worry. Use the ice weapon I created to end this disaster." The enemy continued to surge forward like a relentless tide. Zhang-an frowned, questioning Li Hyunga. "How long are you going to wallow in regret?" Amidst the tension, too, gigantic serpents unleashed destructive purple beams, incinerating everything in their path. He gritted his teeth, lost in thought amidst the chaos. Suddenly, he gave a sharp, decisive order. "Crafting team, prepare the magic staves. Search and rescue, support the teleportation team." And as the teleportation circle materialized, he bellowed, "Evacuate all civilians immediately." Everyone acknowledged the order with confident smiles. Hui Duk declared boldly, "Today here, we will eliminate target number 1, the Soul Master." Everyone responded in unison, "Roger." Countless drones, designated Roger, filled the sky. The Soul Master remained unfazed, seated calmly atop the demon statue. The Rogers formed a aerial encirclement of the enemy. The tension of battle filled the air. Everyone was intensely focused. Destroy the demons. Position reports echoed with each sword strike. Number 1, in position. Number 2, in position. The constant stream of reports kept the team aware of the battle's progress. Number 3, in position. Number 4, in position. Coordinated attack to eliminate the giant green monster. The monster suddenly looked up, surveying the factory floor below. A subordinate hesitantly addressed the elder. "Are you intentionally not mentioning that the repairs aren't finished yet?" Snow White gave a slight nod in confirmation. "If we reveal that, young Master E, Hyangok will miss this once-in-a-millennium opportunity because we lost." An emergency alert blared from the warning system. Equipment has exceeded maximum energy capacity. Current mana levels critical. Skill combination range exceeds allowable limits. Unable to execute. Such powerful magic could be life-threatening to the user. Hyangok focused all his magical energy, channeling it while thinking. One wrong move, and I'll kill my own teammates. A vortex of nothingness suddenly appeared. The vortex spun with dizzying speed, moving swiftly forward. Witnessing the strange sight, he stood up, his body tense. The vortex gradually expanded. A giant sword materialized from within, plunging downwards. From expending so much energy, blood began to trickle from the corner of his mouth. But with unwavering determination in his heart, he believed this attack would protect everyone. He reached out, controlling the giant sword. Then, with a loud shout, he charged forward, his sharp gaze fixed on the Tao Han Su, soul puppeteers. Before they could react, the sword slammed into the ground. Hyunguk Cheol Wu's voice rang out. Saw bang, North Star. A terrifying explosion erupted, sending monsters flying in all directions. Above, the team members hid behind cover, trying to avoid the terrifying pressure wave. At the point where the sword struck, a massive pillar of fire erupted, incinerating the surrounding area. In the air, his brother shielded himself with both arms. The blazing red energy radiated, growing more and more intense. A raging inferno consumed the demonic horde. In a flash, the demons suffered heavy losses. Demon corpses littered the streets. The squad members staggered to their feet, rushing to aid their injured comrades from the blast. Hyangok urgently issued orders through the comms. All squads report casualties. On the other side, the guard squad was still fiercely fighting back. Unha immediately reported, "Guard squad, all members alive. Currently engaging monsters on the upper floors." The thick smoke finally cleared, revealing Zhongyun and Minwei. Zhongyun yelled, "Recon team. Reserve team has lost contact with 60% of personnel. Currently assessing the battlefield." He asked worriedly, "Where's the engineering team?" "Engineering team. Do you copy?" Another report cut him off. Tao Hoen Su, confirming survival. Just as they thought. He stood defiantly amidst the encircling flames, unyielding to the searing red energy. He felt each burning sting, each scorching wave. He's screaming in agony. A scout reported frantically through his binoculars. He sustained critical injuries. John June made a decisive declaration. "The meteor shower has taken effect. This is our moment." Thoughts swirled like a tempest in Hyangok's mind. Now, this was the golden opportunity to completely obliterate the ruthless Tao. Hyangok commanded countless swords, large and small, to rise into the air. "Royal Guard, engage immediately," he roared. "Annihilate all remaining monsters and villains." Unha turned and questioned Hyangok. "Are you planning to go alone without the Royal Guard's protection?" "Yes," Hyangok replied. "With our current strength, it's too difficult to eliminate all the monsters that have infiltrated the refuge zone. We desperately need support from the guard squad." She gritted her teeth, lost in thought for a moment, then turned to her squad members and commanded loudly, "All members of the guard squad, quickly to join the battle formation." A squad member asked, "Lieutenant, where are you going?" Unha quickly replied, "I will provide support for Commander E. Hyan. Leave this direction to me." He was still silently contemplating. If we can take down that manipulator, everything will be over. The chance to finally liberate humanity is within our grasp. He focused his magic, transforming it into sturdy chains, tightly binding two enormous buildings. All of his energy was poured into controlling them. Straining, he roared, "Ah!" The two massive buildings were instantly lifted into the air, hurtling straight towards the manipulator. He was terrified, sweat pouring down him like rain. He lunged forward, leading 1,000 sharp blades like a furious storm of swords. His figure flickered in and out of the forest of blades, exuding an unyielding resolve to annihilate his enemy. Fragments of shattered stone rained down like hail under the terrifying power. Finally, the relentless chain of attacks focused all its power on the spot where the Soul Master stood, creating a devastating, earth-shattering blow. As the thick smoke gradually cleared after the catastrophic attack, the brothers quickly descended to the ground. He looked at the Soul Master, impaled by countless swords, the one who had once arrogantly provoked him. "I finally get to face you directly, Soul Master." He pulled a sword from the ground and said calmly, "What's with that face? Huh? What? Do you think this is unfair? You took the lives of tens of billions of people. Drop the act of being treated unjustly." He raised his hand towards him, his eyes pleading for an explanation, but not letting him finish his sentence. He swung his sword down in a swift, decisive strike. "Silence. Stop your useless excuses." The head was severed, blood gushing like a geyser. Immediately, an announcement rang out. "Target number 1 has been successfully eliminated." Everyone was stunned, utterly astonished. The deep-set sockets of the skeleton, which had held a faint, ghostly purple glow, were now completely consumed by darkness, leaving only 2 terrifying black voids. The ferocious monsters, once so violent, now began to collapse, one after another. The team members were invigorated, filled with excitement. Those terrifying undead monsters finally ceased their movements. Suddenly, a dark figure shot out from the building's rubble, unleashing a barrage of binding ropes to attack them. Zhang Jun immediately commanded and coordinated the formation, focusing all firepower on the remnants of the dark forces. Today is the day of liberation for all humanity. They took up their fighting stances, letting out a mighty roar, AHHH. They deployed their formations and unleashed their magic, simultaneously attacking toward Juna, who was barely withstanding the onslaught of ferocious magic. He muttered complaints under his breath. "This is such a pain. Won the world is that gloomy, melancholic guy up to now." In that moment, across the vast sky, thousands of ferocious wyverns suddenly appeared. They roared with terrifying, ear-splitting screeches. A system announcement: soul transfer in progress. Esper abilities are activated only under specific circumstances, and the Soul Tamer's unique ability has been initiated. The soul of the Esper is being transferred to a backup body. Hyung-guk watched in terror as countless wyverns descended. Backup body transfer progress at 30%. He looked at the Soul Tamer's body, speechless. Has the transfer rate suddenly jumped to 70%? A wyvern crashed to the ground with an earth-shattering boom. Soul transfer nearing completion, displaying 99%. His soul is beginning to merge with another body. "I am you, and you are me." The body suddenly opened its lifeless eyes, the pupils slowly revealing a cold, red glint, signaling the imminent completion of the transfer. "Congratulations! The soul transfer is 100% complete. The transfer of the soul to the new body has been successfully completed. He now possesses a completely different appearance." Slowly descending from the back of the evil dragon, he then stood on the precarious cliff, looking down at Hyung-guk's trembling figure below, consumed by fear. He raised his hand and began to signal the evil dragon horde behind him. "Let darkness engulf all things." The skeleton soldiers who fell before now seemed revitalized and began to rise. The monsters gradually rose up, causing widespread panic. The system continued to issue warnings. "The night of death has arrived. The Soul Master has officially declared. The night of death has begun. The immortal will forever serve their master, even unto death." Terror was etched on the faces of every team member. Hyung-guk was utterly enraged. "That bastard, from the very beginning, he lured me into his trap." The Soul Snatcher let out a sinister laugh, a savage triumph gleaming in his eyes. The fierce battle erupted once again. Screams of despair echoed everywhere as the terrifying monsters were revived. Even those obliterated by the meteor shower were resurrected, filled with a ferocious rage. The survivors fought desperately, dodging the monsters' frenzied attacks. Heian began to channel the magic within him, dark energy surging through his veins. An earth-shattering energy emanated from him, suffocating the surrounding space. His entire body ignited, transforming into a living fireball, incinerating everything in its path. He exploded like a colossal bomb, the devastating force tearing apart the building he stood in. Hyen's brother, recognizing the imminent danger, paled with terror. He immediately commanded, "Everyone, get out of here! Hurry! Don't fight back! It's useless! Run! Alarm! Death is coming!" A message of doom echoed in everyone's minds. "Use Predator skill. Utilize the absorbed player's skill, Fist King. The Soul Snatcher moved with blinding speed. He descended from the cliff like a bolt of lightning. He unleashed a fatal punch towards Original Hyen. Original Hyen quickly blocked the blow. He gritted his teeth, enduring the terrifying force of the punch. Hyung-suk began to channel his power, activating his body enhancement transformation. But before he could unleash his devastating punch, a crushing force slammed into his arms. The horrific impact shattered the bones in his arms. The tremendously powerful blow sent him flying. His body hung suspended in midair, surrounded by sharp swords. Seen from above, the scene was utter chaos. Debris flew everywhere, mingled with the raging flames of the evil dragon's fury. Hyung-suk crashed hard into the wall, his body racked with pain. A system notification suddenly appeared. The skill Predator has been activated, fully utilizing the power absorbed from the players dragged into the inferno. He focused magic into his hand, forming a gigantic fireball. The swirling fireball hurtled straight towards Hyung-suk, who was gasping in agony. Seeing the fireball closing in, Hyung-suk could only grit his teeth and brace himself. Just then, Seo Unha appeared. She shouted, "Hyung-suk, calm down. No matter what happens, you have to survive." Seinguna, Yung-suk-rord, Seo Unha, what the hell are you doing? Run. Don't be reckless. Use the shield to protect me. Then turn back. Her eyes filled with a gentle, yet unwavering resolve. No, I will be your shield, because you're my first life. The Tao Soul Master glared at them with a look of pure hatred. The system displayed a notification. Skill Predator activate. Players' abilities are being utilized to their fullest potential. The Strength God's divine power has been absorbed. Acidist or Queen. He roared with earth-shattering force, unleashing a powerful purple sonic wave. In a moment of sheer panic, he screamed, "Seo Unha." The devastating attack shattered the shield. Both of them were sent flying backward, but it didn't end there. From elsewhere, a new enemy approached. A giant, wielding a terrifying spiked hammer, charged towards them. He swung his hammer down in a powerful blow, separating them. They both crashed to the rubble-strewn ground. John Jun's 7 swords let out a mournful clang. From behind, a spear pierced through him. Completely caught off guard, John Jun had no time to react. That's Gwang's spear, one of the most notorious criminals. Taijian let out a savage, delighted laugh. His countless tentacles pierced through the squad members, taking their lives. Just then, a swarm of giant insects flew towards the spot where Unha had fallen. They swarmed towards her with dizzying speed, like a surging wave. Hearing the loud noise, Unha struggled to open her eyes and look around. Instantly, the entire swarm of insects crawled into her mouth. Above, Juna licked her lips in satisfaction. She sat perched on the wall of a building, bathed in the blood-red moonlight, creating a truly terrifying scene. She raised a finger in disdain. Don't struggle. Disgusting. Witnessing this, Hwang-guk burst into tears helplessly. Please, he pleaded. Run away. People fell like dominoes before the ferocious onslaught of the monsters. Suddenly, from the rubble in the distance, a mysterious figure in a pristine white cloak suddenly appears. The young man pleads with his life, begging for mercy for everyone. The mysterious figure walks directly towards Hyun-guk and stops. In a flash, the young man realizes the person before him is Gordon Brady. He screams in a fit of rage. You betrayed us. Just as he finishes speaking, another terrifying explosion rings out. He witnesses the destruction with a gleeful expression. Oh my, it seems the safe zone is about to be completely wiped out. Tears stream down the young man's face, his voice choked with sobs as he asks, Why? Why would you do this? You were supposed to be our protector. It's all my fault. I trusted you too much, promoted you too quickly, and that's why. The young man is cut off. It's not your fault. It's because you always lived and acted according to the system's orders. He looks at the bodies scattered on the ground and continues coldly. Your indifference to the world around you blinded you from realizing that a guard, even the most righteous, can fall prey to the path of evil. Hyun-guk let out a bitter, helpless chuckle. Who could have imagined that the players themselves, not some monstrous creature, would be the ones to devastate and destroy all of humanity? He slowly raised his hand and removed his mask. My God, it's humanity's last savior. Iron Emperor. No, it's that ridiculed F-rank player, Godon. Or rather, Lee Hyun-guk is more accurate. He spread his arms wide, arrogantly, declaring, "We are the gods chosen by fate. The gods will decide the destiny of all mankind." He bitterly cursed. "Look at yourself. You villain. You speak as if you were God himself. If only I had perfected myself sooner, even just one day earlier than scum like you." He didn't let him finish, interrupting with a burst of mocking laughter. "You have no shame." Godon looked down at him with a sarcastic tone. "Don't pretend to be remorseful, because even if he had known this beforehand, when he looked at him, his eyes would still be filled with resentment, while Guang would be filled with smug satisfaction. Ultimately, the fate of the lowly, weak ones like him could never be changed. This was the final judgment for him. Guang approached, raising high the terrifying spike hammer. Go Jian turned his back and walked away, leaving behind cold words. Completely deserved for someone like him. He screamed in despair and indignation. Go Jian Brady. Hot tears streamed down his cheeks, merging with the endless flow of time. He suddenly woke up, realizing he was lying in bed. The weary brother slowly sat up. Junimo was sitting watch beside him. Sensing the movement, he asked worriedly, "Sergeant Lee, brother." Everyone around also rushed to ask, "Sergeant Lee, are you all right? Are you okay? Are you crying?" Teasing whispers echoed around. The man who was known as the Merciless King was shedding tears. If an indifferent, unfeeling person like him see, this doesn't look good. You're right. "Sergeant, were you hurt? Enough. Stop bothering me. Look out the window," he whispered. "I just dreamt of a dark future." Everyone was stunned. A terrible future? Outside the window, the aurora borealis blazed magnificently. But even this moment couldn't ease the heavy feeling in his heart. Hyuk spoke in a low voice. "A future that cannot be allowed to happen. A future I must change, no matter the cost." The sky was split in two, one half light, the other dark. People scrambled in a chaotic evacuation. From the crowd, a desperate cry rang out. "My daughter. She's still in there." Soldiers held back a middle-aged woman. "You are not allowed to enter." The woman knelt down, pleading, "Please, sir, I beg you, just this once. Please let me go in." The soldier's voice remained cold and firm. "Madam, requesting full access for AI Unit 01. From above, the azure sky stretched endlessly, like a colossal sheet of jade. But amidst this vast expanse, a strange barrier existed. A pitch-black sphere, like a dark orb, suddenly materialized amidst the sea of white clouds. It resembled a mysterious black hole, brimming with destructive power. It seemed to devour everything around it, including the space within itself. In Geronda, at the National Gate Processing Committee's Unified Command Center, a large screen displayed a live feed of the Board of Directors meeting. Frankly, we must openly admit that they claim we are completely powerless in this situation. In a vast hall, a gigantic screen displayed an image of Earth from space. Center stage, a colossal robot sat cross-legged, meticulously, grooming its lengthy tentacles, which sprawled across the ground. Murmurs and whispers began to rise. Indeed, but the public and the council are furiously criticizing us. So what are we doing sitting here discussing this? To quickly develop a plan to deal with the aftermath of the monster wave. Suddenly, a hand shot up amidst the noisy crowd, instantly silencing the entire hall. "Excuse me for interrupting. I am Kong Seo Hyun, guild leader of Jamana, representing the 4th-ranked guild in South Korea. Are you suggesting," her voice dripped with sarcasm, "that we just stand by and abandon the millions of innocent people trapped in the affected zone?" Councilman Kong stammered in response. "That's not what we meant. But we can't just enter that area." "Then what other choice do we have?" Seo Hyun retorted sharply. To emphasize his point, Councilman Kong slammed his hand on the table and boomed. "We need to prioritize and concentrate our resources for the safety of the entire country, not just the citizens of Seoul." Hearing that cold response, Seo Hyun gritted her teeth, her face filled with contempt. "Those are just empty words to cover up the fact that you only care about protecting your own positions, but the lives of countless innocent people." As if her words struck a nerve, the entire council erupted in shouts. "Representative Kong, what are you talking about? We all want to rescue Son, but there has to be a viable plan. Right now, we don't have any options." Seo Hyun spoke up, hands on her hips. "There are still several gamer guilds inside that we can establish contact with. If we cooperate with them, we can minimize the loss of life." Another council member scratched his head and said, "Will those players cooperate with us in this critical situation?" With a serious expression, she added, "We, the Jamana Guild, will provide hero-level equipment to all players. Purify the mutated elements within the turbulent wave zone, along with a legendary level artifact for the player with the most outstanding contribution. The entire council was astonished. They couldn't believe she would make such a decision. She brought the tension to a peak, declaring to them, "I can't ask my guild members to hide, to abandon everyone and run for their lives just for the guild's benefit, and then stand by and do nothing." After Yun slammed her hand on the table in frustration, she continued, "We would do everything to save people, even if we can only save one more. Are you satisfied now?" Everyone was speechless in the face of her resolute determination. She sat down angrily, thinking to herself, "I never thought I'd have to use money to solve a crisis for an entire nation. How ridiculous." In the stillness of night, all creatures lay in a deep slumber. The desolate land stretched out, littered with cold skeletal remains. A gloomy atmosphere pervaded, seemingly stretching into infinity. Suddenly, a powerful and authoritative military voice shattered the terrifying silence. Sergeant Lee Hyung-guk's voice rang out with decisiveness. "I need to see the battalion commander. I have an important matter to report. This is the 3rd Battalion, Monster Defense Brigade. A secret bunker lay hidden deep underground." Kim Gang-sik spoke with a worried expression. "Are you all right?" His comrade stood at attention and replied firmly, "Reporting for duty, sir." "I am well." His eyes were resolute, filled with determination. "Battalion commander, I have a suggestion." He tilted his head, furrowing his brow. "A suggestion? Tell me." The comrade thought of the vampire, Aaron, and slowly began to explain. "I've heard rumors that the terrorist we just captured has escaped. Inside his cell, only broken shackles and a suffocating tension remain." He raised a hand to his forehead, his face etched with fatigue. "Yes, this is a real headache. This situation is quite troublesome. My reasoning is as follows. An impenetrable prison, constructed from mana stones, along with an unbreakable magical barrier, confines the players within, unless one possesses the extraordinary abilities of an S-rank player. Escaping from this place is utterly impossible, and from this we arrive at a single conclusion. My hypothesis is that a traitor lurks within the ranks of the military, operating in secret. The situation within the city is extremely critical. Monsters are rampant in every corner. I'm reporting on the severity of the situation. Battalion Commander, Seoul is under a ferocious monster attack. Furthermore, countless dangerous criminals, including suspected terrorists, are running rampant." He didn't stop there, but continued to roam throughout Seoul. Numerous shelters were built to provide refuge and protect lives from the monster threat. There's no denying the fact that individuals with extraordinary powers would emerge, but instead of using them for good, they would prey on the innocent. Now, the danger has become even greater because they, unable to hide his worry, the serious boy spoke up. "The harsh reality is that even our military forces, those who suffered the fewest casualties in this war, will need a considerable amount of time to re-equip and redeploy." Kong Seok let out a sly and cunning smile. "Well then, I'm quite eager to hear it. What bright idea do you have?" Wyguk feigned boredom on the outside, but inside he was brimming with excitement, as expected of the brilliant battalion commander. "I'm sure he's eager for me to say this." Without hesitation, he boldly proposed, "I recommend the formation of an elite task force to ensure the safety of innocent civilians and stem the spreading tide of corruption." Kong Seok seemed not to fully grasp his meaning and asked, "A special unit? What do you mean?" As he was explaining, outside, on the desolate wasteland, countless bodies lay scattered everywhere. Skyscrapers were engulfed in raging flames. Everywhere was a scene. He put his hands on his hips, a puzzled expression on his face, and muttered, "In this situation, we need to delegate tasks to at least a few commanders. But will they listen to our arrangements?" Lai Wanguk chuckled, seemingly confident in the outcome. "You don't need to worry about that." A scene of devastation unfolded before their eyes. Several people shouted to each other, urgently tending to the wounded. "There are still many monsters. Everyone, stay alert." I don't know what Wanguk said to Manhwa, but after hearing it, he was stunned. "Are you crazy? This is the military. There's a clear chain of command here. And yet, a lowly soldier dares to give orders to superior officers? What should we do now?" He hung his head, his face filled with dejection. "I also find this ridiculous. Therefore, I only intend to assign tasks to the ordinary soldiers." But the battalion commander said, He recounted Gansiok's words, his voice filled with indignation and anger. "ASAO raid party can't go without a commanding officer," he stated firmly. The battalion commander then barked at me. "At the very least, send the second lieutenant commander, the one he trusts implicitly, into battle with you." Surprised, I wondered why the battalion commander would say that. He turned away, feigning indifference, and offered, "It's just a small suggestion. Besides, I have no one else I can trust." I pressed him. "No one else." He recalled the previous devastating sword rain, then declared resolutely, "How can I launch a large-scale offensive without you?" Manhwa, standing above, smiled triumphantly and cheered. Below, the crowd roared their approval. He continued to paint the future. "If your attack saves the people from this crisis." He reveled in the sight of his smug expression. "I thought the major guilds would be fighting over each other to recruit you." He suddenly turned his back, feigning disinterest in the offer, but he seemed completely indifferent. Manhwa quickly grabbed his shoulder. "Wait, you said I could be your strategist. That's a completely different matter." Hearing that, he smirked slyly, a look of triumph in his eyes. The fish has taken a bait. A raging inferno erupted, engulfing the entire forest. People screamed and shouted at each other. They used all their power, casting spells to extinguish the massive blaze. "The fire is reaching the mountain. Release the water." 5 people in total. From the back used water magic. One person at the front focused the water flow, encircling the flames. Jaehi muttered, "My term is almost over, and I'm still stuck here doing this. I should be off duty by now." Private Gu rushed over, calling out loudly from behind for Sergeant Kim Jae-ha. She turned around with a surprised look on her face. "Oh," the chatty kid yelled while holding his hair. "The wind from your magic is too strong." He held his hair with one hand and approached her with the other. "You've been assigned to the special unit." She cast a spell while raising her hand, signaling him to speak louder. "What? I can't hear you." He gave a thumbs-up sign. Message delivered. She had no idea what he was saying and just yelled, "I can't hear anything." After that, he ran off, leaving her with a ton of questions. She thought to herself, what was that about? Why do I feel like my last days on duty are going to be ruined like this? Choi Jeonjin burrowed under the covers and mumbled, "I don't want to." His friend replied, surprised, "I haven't even said anything yet." He thrashed around and whined like a child. "I don't care. I don't care. No matter what you say, I won't do it." Hyung-gu was momentarily speechless, feeling powerless against his intense reaction. Choi Jeonjin continued to grumble resentfully. "Do you know how hard I worked to get this? Valentina, 30? Even though I'm about to finish my military service. No matter what, I won't agree." He started listing his offenses. "You drank alcohol while on duty, didn't you? You also extended the dispatch schedule by a week, sometimes even 2 weeks, when 2 days were enough." His crimes exposed, he was stunned, eyes wide. The man, with a smug look, leaned down close to him, grinning mockingly. "Moreover, if the battalion commander finds out, you can forget about getting promoted. The life of a level 5 pawn like you will never end." Sweat beaded on his face, discomfort evident as his weak spot was exploited. He bolted upright, throwing off the covers, rage erupting within him. "All right, what are you going to do?" Meanwhile, Lee Won-suk saw his own reflection in the water. A hideous monster. "What's happening? How did this happen? Why have I become like this?" Panic surged as he stared at his blood-smeared face, glowing green eyes and razor-sharp fangs, a terrifying sight. He glanced behind him, spotting a group of armed soldiers approaching. They were hunting monsters, searching every nook and cranny. If any surviving monsters were found, the order was to eliminate them immediately. Fear flooded Won-suk as he saw his horrifying reflection. If they found him, he would surely be taken for a monster. Without hesitation, he mustered his strength and leaped, vanishing into the darkness. On the desolate mountaintop, the night sky stretched endlessly, deep and vast like a giant mysterious black velvet cloth. Hyun-guk and the soldiers shouted Lee Won-suk's name, their voices echoing in the silent expanse. He told himself that he had stayed conscious until the very last moment, and that he had saved Won-suk. But where was he now? The moment he transformed, losing his reason, it was Hyun-guk who pulled him back from the brink. Memories flooded back. Won-suk kneeling, hands raised in surrender to Chong Myeon. "I'm not a deserter," he had insisted firmly. "I'm here now. He'll be all right. Please don't hurt him." Reality crashed back down. Hyun-guk still couldn't find Won-suk. He sighed, staring into the void. "See, that guy is exactly that kind of person. But this time, can you trust me just a little bit more? The raging fire that had consumed the building at the foot of the mountain was now completely extinguished. An urgent summons echoed throughout the barracks. Soldiers swiftly and urgently carried out their assigned tasks, converging at the training grounds. This was a crucial gathering of the special unit, a matter of survival. Once the operation commences, there will be no resupply or reinforcements. Ensure you have everything you need. Hyun-kook was stunned to see the person standing before him. His eyes widened, and he immediately snapped into a military salute for CO Manhwa. Her expression was unusual, piquing his curiosity. "What's wrong, captain of the assault team?" She seemed hesitant, avoiding his gaze. "Well, Hyun-kook, I've misjudged you this whole time." Hyun-kook felt a weight lift from his shoulders. He beamed. "It's okay." Suddenly, she put her hands on her hips, her demeanor changing completely. "However, that doesn't mean I fully trust you." Haeguk furrowed his brow, the corner of his mouth twitching in confusion. "Why would you suddenly say something like that?" She looked directly into his eyes, her voice raising slightly to gauge his reaction. "I've decided to join the special unit." Haeguk's pupils constricted. He froze for a moment. He was slightly stunned by her words. Regaining his composure, he looked at Unha with a gentle gaze. "I understand. I'm looking forward to it." Now it was her turn to be surprised. Or rather, her face was flushing crimson. She shyly turned her face away. Me too." Haeguk thought to himself. That's good. CO Unha has officially joined. Now, all the trustworthy people have assembled. He looked ahead, lost in thought. When I first went back in time, thoughts raced through my mind. I tried my best to avoid involving my former comrades, or all the brave warriors in our current ranks, with all the strength they can muster. Everyone quickly formed a neat line in front of the commander. Battalion Commander Kong, with a stern expression, stood before the troops and began his report. "Our current head count is 11 members, sir. In addition, we have 3 excellent drivers serving exclusively for the special unit." The commander quickly interrupted. "Hold on. About the name special unit, I'm really not satisfied with that name at all. It sounds shady and not righteous." The commander's train of thought didn't stop there. "I used to think that this name would be a strong shield to protect everyone, but now I want us to come up with a more suitable name for the team." After a moment of contemplation, the commander suddenly exclaimed, "Steel Company. That's it. From now on, we will be called Steel Company." Hearing the new name, everyone felt deflated and disappointed. To themselves, they all thought, "What a strange name." However, as the memories of the future in my mind gradually changed little by little, I suddenly realized that the real challenges we can only overcome this adversity if we all stand together, united as one. Kong Suk's booming voice resonated like thunder, striking deep into the hearts of each member. "Report back immediately to stop the raging torrent that is Seoul from engulfing us, to protect our fragile future from annihilation. I need all of you. I need the combined strength of the entire team. Not just one person, not just one individual." The young commander's resolute face hardened with steely determination, his entire body radiating a fierce fighting spirit. Speaking for the entire team, he declared with a resounding voice, "Sergeant Lee Hyun-yu, reporting for duty. We accept the rescue mission. To rescue the innocent civilians trapped and launch swift attacks to push back the Soul Wave. Steel Company reporting for duty, ready to engage." Icy winds howled through the dark and oppressive cave. Li Huang gasped for breath, each inhale a painful effort that felt like dragging his entire ribcage. His body was covered in blood, wounds oozing relentlessly. Cold sweat plastered his pale face. Li Huang's eyes widened in horror at the sight before him. Around him, monster corpses lay scattered and piled upon each other, interspersed with energy, stones glowing blood red. He tremblingly picked one up. Instantly, a surge of powerful energy emanated from the stone, radiating throughout the space, forming ethereal blue streams of electricity that enveloped him. The system's voice rang out. "Congratulations, host. You have successfully activated the Energy Plunder skill. After using this skill, the host's total energy has increased by 0.7%. However, the more energy the host consumes. The total energy increase will gradually decrease proportionally. The young man leisurely enjoyed his newly acquired spoils. Suddenly, the ground shook violently. Massive cracks appeared, spreading everywhere. A terrifying energy source beyond imagination suddenly erupted as a colossal monster burst forth from the earth. Debris flew everywhere, dust and smoke obscuring everything. Hyunduk quickly jumped back, dodging the surprise attack. The monster swung its sharp claws, narrowly missing his face. Luckily, he reacted in time. With agile and swift movements, in the blink of an eye, he escaped the ferocious monster's attack range. It roared furiously, its 6 red eyes glaring at him with burning hatred. Its gruesomely sharp fangs looked ready to tear apart anything in its path. He immediately growled back in a threatening display. The familiar sound of the system suddenly rang out. A new event quest has been activated. A colossal monster appeared, carrying an aura of destruction. The Lord of Hell. Scorpion monster, you will enter the deep lair of the Lord of Hell and become his delicious prey. The ferocious monster slammed its massive tail onto the ground, causing an earth-shattering tremor. Hyun-guk was not intimidated. On the contrary, he seemed utterly thrilled. So, you thought I was exhausted and decided to take advantage of me? Too obvious. How naive and foolish. The Lord of Hell, with his massive physique and domineering aura, unleashed devastating blows aimed directly at him. In this precarious situation, he quickly dodged and carefully observed the monster. It furiously lashed its tail like a storm towards Hyun-guk. His body moved like the wind, his feet swiftly gliding across the ground. In a split second, the young man stood on the brink of death. Suddenly, he placed his hand on the monster's body, using it as leverage to jump. He soared into the air, channeling all his strength into the spear in his hand. The sharp spear and his steely gaze radiated an unyielding, unwavering will. The hideous monster opened its fanged maw wide, lunging straight towards him. Seizing the opportunity, he threw himself into the monster's mouth. The scorpion monster swallowed Hyunu gang whole, leaving only the spear protruding. Disgusting fangs dripped with viscous slime. His body slowly descended into the abyss of the monster's stomach. The monster's corrosive stomach acid began to eat away at his flesh. Hyunu writhed in pain, but a triumphant smirk spread across his face. You fool, you think so childishly. A perfect plan had been formulated in his mind all along. Thanks to you, I can finish you off quickly, because I used my transmutation power to neutralize your stomach acid. Let's end this with an earth-shattering explosion. His right eye blazed with a surge of violent magic. At the same time, countless cracks appeared on his face, as if it were about to shatter. Nuclear bomb. X-Bomba. The system immediately issued a danger warning. The player is at risk of taking damage if skills are not used precisely. Just as he reached the peak of his power, his body suddenly radiated a brilliant aura. His clothes were ripped to shreds, and the monster's belly swelled terrifyingly. Immediately after, an earth-shattering explosion echoed. A gigantic sphere of light appeared midair. The monster's body, its head torn apart, was flung around without a single cry of agony. The radiant light gradually dissipated. The figure of the brother began to materialize. Just as the monster's head crashed to the ground, the system announced, "You have eliminated all monsters. You have received a gold card. By using the gold card, you can awaken a special ability. Ownership of this item has been confirmed." Upon receipt, his naked body emerged faintly from the white smoke, like a figure in a Siwa painting. He admired the item he just received, a smug look gleaming in his eyes. A gleaming gold card. All the suffering he endured from that monster's horrific breath was finally rewarded. Suddenly, the system asked if he wanted to use the gold card. A sly smile flickered across his face. He decisively cast a spell, incinerating the card in his hand. "Of course I'll use it," he thought to himself. The system chimed with congratulations, followed by a special awakening notification. "You have acquired a new skill." The skill information appeared. Metal Manipulation, Rank D. Effect. By consuming mana, you can freely change the shape of metal. Within your control, mana consumption is proportional to the mass of metal being manipulated. Hyun-guk silently chanted, "Metal manipulation." Instantly, his right hand transformed into a gleaming mass of metal. The system suddenly blared a piercing warning. Warning: when using the skill Metal Manipulation, enhancement abilities will be temporarily disabled. As soon as he finished speaking, his 2 arms transformed into razor-sharp weapons, like gleaming blades. Hyeondu seemed confident, a smug look plastered across his face, certain of his victory. With this, I'm fully prepared for the attack on Seoul. He looked twisted, a stark contrast to his usual demeanor. The system relentlessly blared out notifications without pause. You have activated the skill, Energy Plunder. Countless red stones were drawn towards him like metal to a magnet. Hyeondu ecstatically embraced them, a scene he had long anticipated. So, I shall savor this grand feast. The Seoul assault will commence in 1 week. The expanse beyond the atmosphere was silent and endless. A voice echoed, broadcasting a message to all citizens. This is a message from the National Gate Response Headquarters. We are issuing a warning regarding a massive spatial gate encompassing all of Seoul. This is not a drill. I repeat, this is not a drill. All citizens immediately evacuate to the nearest shelter. The streets were chaotic, littered with rubble and debris. The piercing cries of a lost child echoed through the chaotic scene, making the atmosphere even more suffocating and heavy. Mixed with this were the urgent, repeated announcements. All citizens immediately evacuate to the nearest shelter. Immediately, suddenly, a massive horde of undead swarmed into the city, seemingly out of nowhere. They charged towards the sobbing boy with ferocious intent. The boy's face was pale with terror. At the very moment of life and death, as the undead were about to grab the boy, a truck came barreling towards them at breakneck speed. The truck slammed into the undead, sending them flying like ragdolls. The boy was saved by a hair's breadth. From the truck, a special forces team quickly emerged. They jumped out, rifles in hand, ready for combat. The special forces formed a line in front of the screaming, oncoming undead. They opened fire on the monsters. A soldier next to the boy commanded in a stern voice. All forces, focus on blocking all routes where monsters appear. The boy stopped crying and turned to look at the soldier beside him with curious eyes. Jim comforted the boy. There, young man. Everything's all right. You don't need to be afraid anymore. The boy smiled brightly and called out, Mr. Park Junimo was interrupted mid-sentence by Lee Min-hee. Damn it, Park Junimo. I told you not to go too deep. Standing atop the vehicle, he ordered Kim say she landed on the ground, clutching 2 magic orbs, and reported, Yes, sir. Moss-colored light emanated from the magic orbs in her hands, weaving and winding through the horde of undead. Sei's power erupted like a whirlwind, engulfing and blowing them away. In the dark of night, a multitude of undead were flung into the air, sent flying out of sight. Meanwhile, a man hidden behind a building silently observed everything. He raised a hand, stopping the people behind him who were trying to advance, and wondered what happened to those soldiers. Sei focused her energy, propelling herself into the air, her hands tightly gripping her weapons, ready for battle. Right now, Lieutenant. Sir. Min-hee summoned her magic, a small vortex of potent energy, glowing with a brilliant golden light, materialized in her palm. He yelled, Acceleration, and she launched the swirling vortex forward at the command, Go! The vortex targeted the undead horde hovering in midair, piercing through each one. Blood splattered, painting the air around her as she moved. Seizing the opportunity, Seo-hee slashed her sword through the remaining undead, cutting them down with terrifying speed. She glanced back, muttering, That old fool completely tricked me. Then she recalled the moment before the battle. In the dim light, a silent space illuminated by a mysterious spatial magic vortex. Seo-hee asked, Are you planning to go in there alone? She reproached him. You promised to let me join this journey, to gain strength in exchange for me enrolling here. The person opposite replied, I'll go in first. To check? Oh no, I have a duty during this event, so I can't help you, right? The girl pleaded, her eyes filled with worry. Everyone knows that. What if you go in there on your own and get hurt? Hui lowered his head, smiling, trying to reassure her. Commander, you don't need to worry about that. I'll be right back. Trust me, I'm very confident in myself. Back in the present, the girl scolded the man for his lie from years ago. You said you'd be back quickly. But how long has it been? Suddenly, she noticed something unusual. A green monster, with a gigantic body, hundreds of times larger than a normal person, suddenly appeared out of thin air and charged forward. It slammed a powerful blow onto the ground, causing a terrifying tremor that shook the earth. The powerful impact sent Kim high flying. Luckily, she reacted quickly, managing to keep her balance and remain unharmed. The thick dust slowly settled, revealing a deep gash in the road. A gigantic green monster, with a head resembling a chameleon, let out a piercing shriek, sucking the air into its mouth. Junimo and the boys stared at the monster in shock, unable to guess its intentions. A deafening roar erupted, followed by a sudden blast of powerful sonic waves that violently shook the ground. The terrifying energy tore through the air like a furious storm. Seihai's face contorted in strain, her body frozen stiff. Everyone was in a similar state. Junimo tried to move, but in vain, trembling as he shielded the boy. Minhee stumbled, searching for something to hold on to. Just then, the undead turned in unison, their eyes ignited with a malevolent energy. Like ravenous demons, they surged forward, attacking the strike team with savage fury. Seohee was suddenly paralyzed with fear, powerless against the onslaught of the approaching undead. Terror consumed her. Death felt imminent. Suddenly, a hulking, half-naked man roared with a ferocious cry. Wielding the power of metal manipulation, he charged into the horde of undead like a whirlwind. His arms transformed into razor-sharp blades, brutally decapitating the monsters. His booming voice drowned out the horrific growls. "Wake up!" All forces returned fire immediately. His thunderous command rekindled the strike team's fighting spirit. Their morale surged. They unleashed a volley of fire, pushing back the encroaching undead. From the other side, more monsters continued to pour in like waves crashing against the shore. Seohee regained her composure, swinging her sword in a powerful arc. Familiar green, magical streams erupted, obliterating the undead in a flash. She glanced back at the man, gratitude and a hint of fondness in her eyes. "Loud old man," she thought to herself. Then Seohee began to shout out commands. Seems like she hasn't noticed anything unusual yet. Our buddy Gook is in a serious state of undress. "You're late, old man, if you delay any longer." Suddenly, the girl stopped, her eyes fixed on. She definitely saw something she shouldn't have. Junimo was overjoyed to see Sergeant E. Hyen again. He was completely speechless when he saw his condition. Only after a moment could he stammer out the last word. "Gook." Junimo was so astonished he couldn't believe his eyes. "What happened to you?" Ignoring his question, he raised his hand. Immediately, a pale blue light appeared, forming giant iron spheres that floated in midair. He commanded sharply, "Steel Squad, all forces hold your positions and attack. I'll cover you." Bok Sumo was stunned, not understanding what he was witnessing. Hyuk Gook urged, his tone laced with a threat. "Don't ask. Do you want me to send you to hell before those monsters even get a chance? Get their hands on you? All attacking forces, focus your minds. Fight seriously." The boy, who had been intently staring at something, unconsciously muttered, "Uncle, look, an elephant." Their fighting spirit surged like a tidal wave, the entire space brimming with intense energy. Every warrior burned with zeal, charging into battle with the determination to fight to their last breath. After the horrific battle, an eerie silence fell over everything. The sky was a deep, inky black, with only the stars twinkling like diamonds scattered across a mysterious velvet backdrop. The scene was one of utter devastation. Monster corpses lay scattered everywhere, blood staining the ground. Amidst this tragic landscape, Huang Kwok began to adjust his attire. He meticulously fastened each button, his movements gentle yet reflecting intense concentration. Suddenly, a nearby spirit whispered something into Seihai's ear, and she doesn't seem too happy about it. Seo Hui reaches out to grab the soul, her tone protesting. "What are you talking about? Keep it to yourself if you want to stare at his naked body. What are you so startled about?" The soul sulks like a petulant child, turning away. She turns to talk to Hyun-guk. "You said you'd complete that mission yourself. And look at you now." She scolds him playfully. "Ha!" She continues, "There's nothing much to see anyway." Her words hit him like a bolt of lightning. "Nothing much to see? That's just what you think." Her expression is hard to read. She swallows the words she wants to say. "Yeah, it's just really cold." Junimo leads the boy to the two sergeants. "Lee Hyun-guk?" He asks, "Are you all right? What happened to your uniform? It's in such a state." Hyun-guk looks down at the boy, clinging to Junimo's leg. He quickly explains, I had to leave my post because of this child." The boy's eyes suddenly widened. His brows furrowed as if he realized something unusual. He sensed something strange about Junimo and turned to Sergeant Lee Hyen. "Sergeant, what signal is he making?" Juno was silent for a moment, then suddenly shouted, "Anyone who's hiding, come out now." The man hiding from the recent battle, hearing the shout, flinched in fear. All those in hiding emerged one by one, raising their hands in a gesture of peace. We couldn't get into the shelter, one man explained. So, we had to find another place to hide. Hui Guk reiterated. You couldn't get into the shelter? He frowned, wanting to confirm the truth once more. Suddenly, the boy let go of Junemo's hand and ran towards the man. The man embraced the boy, choking back sobs. My son, my son. Once the boy was safe in his arms, the man's face was filled with gratitude. Thank you so much for saving my son. I had almost lost hope. I'm so relieved to meet soldiers like you. Hui's voice hardened, his face darkening as he countered. Are you sure? The man furrowed his brows in confusion. Huh? What do you mean? Suddenly, iron orbs, each the size of a fist, materialized and shot towards the man. They stopped, hovering in front of the hidden figures. The man stammered, Huh? You, what are you doing? Hui's right pupil constricted, emitting a strange light. A surge of supernatural energy was unleashed, similar to when he destroyed the hellish monster earlier. Cracks began to appear on the iron orbs, as if they were being crushed from within. The man still hadn't grasped what was happening. A loud explosion échouait. The heads of all the hidden figures exploded, killing them instantly. The 7-year-old boy watched in horror, his eyes wide, staring at his father. The entire squad was speechless, completely shocked by the scene that had just unfolded. Are you crazy? Junimo yelled. Sergeant Lee Hui, what the hell are you doing? Hui seemed not to hear, completely ignoring him. He used magic to summon the dagger from the boy's hip, then lunged forward with incredible speed. His hand shot out, aimed directly at the child, with such terrifying speed. It was no trouble for Hyangak to grab the boy. His face was a mask of fury, his eyebrows furrowed. A clear warning to the child. Let me tell you something. I hate backstabbers more than anything. So you better stop this foolish act right now. He held the dagger to the trembling, crying boy's head, his voice a low growl. Before I finish you. Before he could finish, he grabbed him by the throat and lifted him high, causing everyone around them to cower in fear. Min Hyan, despite his terror, bravely raised his gun. You bastard. Let the boy go. Now, all soldiers, aim your weapons at Hyong Jae. Choi Tae-ong panicked at the order. Sergeant Kim Se-hyan remained calm, pointing his gun directly at his comrade. Min Hui yelled at him accusingly. You maniac! How could you be so cruel to civilians? Put the boy down, Lee Hyun-guk. Do you hear me? He kicked hard at the corpse of the man he just killed. Hyun-guk pointed at the crimson weapon lying beneath the dead man. These people aren't civilians. They're players, plotting against us. They're hiding weapons from another world. Min Hui stared at Hyun-guk in stunned disbelief. The surrounding people, who had been kneeling, suddenly raised their hands and began shouting in unison. Wait, he's right. They kidnapped us, and they're killing people. With an incredulous look, he turned to Sergeant Kim Se-hui. They both stared at each other in shock. Suddenly, Hyun-guk spoke with a sneer. Quit the act already. Show your face. He pressed his face against the back of the boy's neck, a cold blade pressed close. A raspy voice echoed. This charade has gone on long enough. Assassin Kim Haji. He spoke slowly, his expression indifferent. I've never met you. Haji furrowed his brow, glancing sideways with suspicion. Who are you? His small frame suddenly transformed, undergoing a rapid evolution. Haji morphed into an adult, 2 terrifying weapons appearing in his hands. The sudden transformation caused Hyun-guk to lose his balance, his grip on Haji's neck loosening. Minhee and Sehee were utterly horrified. Both quickly aimed their guns at him. Haji spun around, the sharp blade in his hand flashing towards Hyun-guk's neck. He gritted his teeth, his eyes burning with hatred as he stared at Hyun-guk. But Haji's attack was suddenly stopped mid-air. He had managed to execute a lightning-fast technique, freezing everything within. Half of Hyun-guk's face contorted in a frown, rage boiling in his eyes. Someone who knew him like the back of their hand. Upon hearing those words, his expression shifted from rage to utter terror. Seizing the opportunity, he unleashed a devastating punch to his face. Because I'm the one who crippled you in your past life. Moments later, Haruto groaned in agony as he swallowed the cold steel balls. They were so hard that they tore his throat, blood gushing out. He struggled to swallow them down. It turned out that he had been captured by Hyang-gak. Haruto was tied tightly to a pillar, coughing violently. Several of his teeth were missing, his mouth full of blood as he yelled, You madman, don't force me to eat these anymore. What kind of soldier tortures someone by shoving steel balls down their throat? Hyung-guk calmly chewed on a steel ball. Torture? Why call it torture? He swallowed the ball with relish, then licked his lips and looked at him smugly. I eat them all the time. If you keep eating like this, you'll be addicted to the taste of metal soon. Haji looked at him fearfully, tears welling up in his eyes, and stammered. Why are you eating such awful things? Ignoring his words, he forced Haji's mouth open and shoved another piece of metal inside. Swallow it. Come on, one more. Open your mouth. Seeing Haji refuse to cooperate, he yelled. In desperation, Haji screamed, Wait, I know. I'll tell you everything. I'll tell you everything. He began to confess, stammering. It was Gongshi. Haji remembered the man's towering figure and the bodies strewn across the floor, then recounted the entire incident. He's a cold-blooded murderer. He slaughtered all the guards in the East Demon Shelter and claimed it for himself. Then he destroyed the entire shelter. Now, no AI can get in there. Hyuk-gu pondered thoughtfully. He destroyed the entire shelter? He tried to imagine the scene. What happened? This is the image of a pack of wild wolves, terrifying under the light of the full moon. I've heard rumors of a ruthless villain who destroyed an entire sanctuary and massacred all the survivors inside, leaving no one alive. He performs cruel, dark magic experiments to elevate his power to new heights. My brother realized this villain had betrayed the righteous path. He quietly speculated. In a past life, he was so incredibly cautious that even artificial intelligence deemed him wicked. However, his true appearance remains shrouded in darkness, never revealed. Could he be the mastermind behind everything? Haji said to him. A few villagers managed to escape that living hell, unable to endure his brutal reign. We were tasked with bringing those innocent people to safety. I transformed myself into a child to avoid frightening and harming them. Everything I've said is true. Please believe me. Ugh, fine, he grumbled. Enraged by the foolish words, he violently clamped his hand over the other man's mouth and shoved him against the wall. You must have another motive. The reason you risked kidnapping innocent people is because this was his order, wasn't it? A system panel suddenly appeared. Mission log. All objectives are currently being executed. 1. Stall for time until the annihilation plan is complete. 2. Before the soul wave ends. Eliminate 50 civilians. 3. After the annihilation plan is successful, rendezvous with the villain alliance. Brother Gook nearly screamed. No way. The infamous assassin, Kim Hgu. He clamped his hand tighter over the man's mouth, silencing him. You. Who are you? The boy's eyes suddenly flashed a brilliant blue. Annihilation. The marble in Hgu's stomach suddenly swelled. His scream cut short, abruptly silenced. Hui-guk stepped outside. Tae-ong rushed over to him. What? Did he kill himself? What in the world was Gong-suk? It's just an AI. Why would it drive him to suicide? He worriedly asked question after question. Shouldn't we wait for Captain Seo Onha and Sergeant Choi Jongjun to get here first? Hyun-guk's face was filled with frustration as he quickly replied, No need. They're very busy. Rescuing the colonel and repairing the hunter's armor takes a lot of time. They won't make it in time. Taeyong immediately countered, but they said he destroyed a shelter. Then how are we supposed to open this door? He gave a sly grin. Don't worry, I have a way. Taeyong stared at him, his face a mixture of surprise and astonishment. He's making that face again. A moment later, everyone arrived. Hyun-guk yelled, This is the official military of the Republic of Korea, the AMT. Open the shelter door immediately. Dongdukian shelter. He slammed his fist against the door with all his might. We received a report of a breach. Unauthorized entry into a residential area. Unauthorized occupation of a shelter is a serious offense, punishable by immediate action. If you do not open this door immediately, we will be forced to use a skeleton key to breach the entrance and proceed inside. Seo Ong helplessly covered his face, realizing his plan was nothing but a bluff. Who would have thought they actually possessed a skeleton key? Hyong Tong Susit thought to himself. The fact that they're barricaded inside proves that they're completely oblivious to the situation outside. He banged on the door, laughing triumphantly. We'll give you a little more time. After I report to my superiors, we will consider this an act of trespassing and proceed with forced entry. Hyong Tong Boon Mung silently speculated. This means they're completely unaware of the military presence. Standard procedure is currently suspended, according to established protocol. After a period of waiting, the heavy door slowly began to open. Everyone looked astonished. Taeyong covered her mouth with her hand, her face full of disbelief. Did it actually work? Xiaohui stood beside her, eyes wide and mouth agape in surprise. It opened. A young man stepped out. What's going on? Hyun-guk playfully pushed his way to the front. The space between the doors is so narrow. Hey, did you not hear me because you had the door shut so tight? We received a report about an unauthorized entry into this residential area. Gong Cheol, from inside, retorted loudly. Unauthorized entry? That's absurd. We were strictly adhering to all safety regulations. The man gestured for everyone to come inside. Please come in and have a look. They glanced inside briefly. But those inside didn't seem to care in the slightest. Ext offered an explanation. Because the people here strictly obey orders. This shelter is a clear testament to the flawless operation of a region. The young man walking behind spoke with a hint of suspicion in his voice. It seems like none of them seem to care about strangers entering this place. It's as if they're deliberately ignoring us to hide something shady. The man, looking puzzled, turned back to look at him. The young man laughed. I'm just kidding. The man remained silent, his eyes betraying his annoyance. Hyun-kook turned back to look at the person behind him. Seo-won looked at him and smiled slightly. It seemed like the two had a silent understanding. X spoke in an irritated tone. Is this all the soldiers deployed here? Are there no more reinforcements? Hyun-guk asked while eating. Why do you ask so many questions? Do you think you can withstand? With our current meager number of soldiers? Realizing he was being mocked, the man angrily shouted, What do you mean? The young man chuckled and waved his hand dismissively. Just kidding. It was just a hypothesis. If you were a criminal in disguise, it would be entirely possible. Veins bulged on the man's forehead, his jaw clenched in fury. What the hell do you think you're doing here? Are you trying to probe me with these childish games? The young man's face hardened, his voice turning serious. You're the one who should be joking. You've been observing and noticing every detail, based on the way you filled this hall with armed men. It's just as I suspected. He spun around and yelled toward his comrades, startling Sutu. Open fire. All forces, open fire. Hearing the command, everyone simultaneously raised their guns, aiming at those hidden in the shelter. At the same time, one of them drew his sword to fight back and launched a counterattack, taking advantage of the man's momentary lapse in attention. Hyun-guk unleashed all his energy, firing the gongst weapon. If you want to get past that AI, you best start by finding a suitable guard uniform. Put on the uniform first. In a blink, he transformed into a giant. Surrounded by rocks, he startled him back. His right eye warped, turning a terrifying reddish-black. He roared furiously at the lowly soldier. I will crush your insolent mouth. Before Hyun-guk could react, Soot grabbed him. Everyone around them. They were also engaged in a fierce battle. He aggressively slammed him against the wall. A large dent appeared on the wall. Soot, in his monstrous form, growled, Silence is golden, isn't it? Suddenly, an explosion erupted above him. He screamed in agony. In excruciating pain, his bloody face was shattered by Hyun-guk's attack. Soot staggered, revealing Hyun-guk's body, still stuck on the brick wall. He suddenly spoke. So, you made of stone, huh? At that moment, his entire body transformed completely. Jae-jun let out a booming laugh. And I'm made of steel. The army soldiers relentlessly fired upon the group of players. Gong-suk roared in fury. Despicable. How can a soldier harm civilians like this? You dare mock and harm innocent civilians? In this critical situation, the responsibility of soldiers like us is to protect and defend civilians from scoundrels like you. Shattered fragments of stone flew up, slowly obscuring the man's grim gaze. On the other side, the soldiers and players continued their fierce battle. He spoke up. You just slaughtered all the guards here, and now you dare act all noble with me. Gong-suk. So, we're the real civilians then. He clutched his arm and lunged forward. What the hell is going on? Hyuk narrowed his eyes, watching cautiously. With a flash of quick thinking, the boy dodged, sending Soot crashing into the wall. He burst right through to the other side. Seizing the opportunity, the boy launched himself at the man, unleashing a surge of energy. A burst of incredible power sent Soot flying backward. The boy stood amidst the wreckage, realizing that Soot had destroyed the shelter, with a sinister motive, conducting experiments on living people. Isn't that right? Soot gripped his spear shaft, snarling. Damn it, what nonsense are you spouting? What in the world is happening? What plot? And experiments? That's absurd. Forget about that. This shelter is already overflowing, but they still stubbornly Cram more people in. Those idiotic soldiers, not to mention this monster wave incident. Those civilians alone are enough to get us all killed. The sky grew dark with hunger. He pounded his chest arrogantly. You're a player too. Shouldn't you understand? The loss of players like us is a devastating blow to the entire nation. Remembering Godiok, his face contorted in rage, teeth gritted. I've heard that AI spout similar nonsense before. Suda argued back. Yes, we risk our lives every single day in constant battle. We deserve better treatment in these desperate times. Everything I do is based on pure logic and complete objectivity. But he was abruptly cut off. Enough! The words stunned him. YG charged forward, energy surging. I don't care if you're a traitor or not. I'm still going to beat you senseless. He raised his hand to meet the furious onslaught. The protective rock shell instantly shattered into small pieces. However, it quickly regenerated, catching him off guard. He was grabbed by the neck, and an arrogant voice boomed. It seems you've been underestimating me this whole time. You'd better know your place. Just as Suktae raised his hand to throw a punch, he managed to raise his arm in defense. Gritting his teeth, he endured the barrage of attacks. He was then lifted high into the air. Then he was slammed into the ground, sending debris flying. They both plummeted down into the basement below. It was a subway tunnel. Hyung-guk, unharmed, laughed mockingly. Giving up already? Then he quietly used his metal manipulation ability. From his arm, sharp spikes suddenly erupted, deflecting the stone shards in Suktae's hand. A warning flashed in his mind. When using metal manipulation, the enhancement technique will disappear. He swung his arm, shattering Suktae's stone mass. Then he activated the enhancement technique. Hui channeled all his strength into his arms, launching a devastating punch directly into X's face. A furious barrage of punches rained down on X's face, making him scream and beg, "Stop it!" His bruised and distorted face pleaded, "Please, I beg you, stop." Hui stood up straight, suddenly sensing something strange. A group of people were hurriedly running towards them. An emaciated woman clasped her hands and pleaded, "Please, save us. We can't see anything." In the woman's arms, a frail little girl lay gasping for breath. "We've always done exactly what he asked. Please trust us." Hui was enraged. "This bastard, he's actually starving them. Hey you, this whole time." Hui's eyes widened in sudden realization. Wait a minute, so he's not a heretic? It was really just for food? Why? What reason does he have to keep kidnapping people? At some point, Suta has taken a hostage. Damn it, what do you want from me? I just want to live. Is that wrong? What's so wrong about that? Hyukik suddenly realized he was standing on an empty suit of armor. The reckless man challenged, "Come closer. Approach me." Looking at him, Hyukik became even more certain. He's not the traitor. Suta held Go-sung while backing away. "I did everything you asked. Why won't you let me live?" The traitor. Suddenly, the man's head exploded to Sutu's utter horror. Hyukik gritted his teeth. He declared with certainty the real traitor is still lurking around here somewhere. Moments later, he heard a voice from the other side. Sergeant Park, Jun Mo reporting. Of the 32 players who participated in the unauthorized raid, on the shelter, a total of 21 players were killed in action and 11 were injured. The injured were taken away, isolated, and detained. Seeing Park Jun-mo's downcast face, the elder officer approached him with concern. "What's troubling you, son?" Juno avoided his gaze and confessed, "Even if they are criminals, taking their lives is incredibly difficult." Glancing at Go-sung, who was collecting the bodies, the elder replied, "Listen, Juno, this is never easy for anyone." The elder placed a comforting hand on Junemo's shoulder. "However, if we don't act decisively in these life or death moments, we can't protect innocent people. That's the burden we carry as soldiers." Junemo's eyes widened in sudden understanding. "Pull yourself together," the elder said. Suddenly, an AI voice demanded to speak with the person in charge. "I need to speak with the person in charge." "Which AI is that?" Junemo wondered aloud. Then it clicked. "Ah, that's the civilian representative." The elder raised an eyebrow, a look of suspicion on his face. "Civilian representatives?" The two men introduced themselves. "I'm Park Hyun-sang, a member of the National Assembly. I was sent here to ensure the safety of this shelter." "I'm Lee Hong-jin from the Merchants Association. I demand we discuss the food allocation first. We need to prioritize the food distribution." "Already arguing? I'm a member of the National Assembly. You should be listening to me." Hong-jin scoffs. "Where were you hiding when this shelter was attacked? What good is your title now?" Meanwhile, Jun gently urges Gusong. Sir, please let us clean this up. He refuses. No, I can't. You saved this old man's life. How can I let you help me further? Even a soldier would be uncomfortable. Why bother yourself with such trivial matters? Just leave it to me. And then you put on that overly worried expression. Moreover, this place harbors a potential danger that makes him extremely apprehensive. What danger? He pointed towards the gloomy basement where terrifying growls echoed. He then explained, because of my oath to Gong's seat, I cannot reveal anything. But I can hear the breath of a ferocious monster. It's gradually approaching us. Please, quickly investigate that place. I fear something terrible is about to happen. Junmo wondered in astonishment. Could someone have infiltrated this shelter? The debate continued. Then let's choose a representative for this shelter first, Gil, saying ignore him. What nonsense is he talking about? I'm a member of parliament. Of course I should be the representative here. Everyone thought about the hidden enemy that had yet to reveal itself. The brother was lost in thought. The treacherous traitor used Gong Seek to sow terror, creating chaos so he could act freely, carrying out his dark schemes in the shadows. But that poor puppet, Gong Seek, has been eliminated. He bit his lip, deeply focused on his wandering thoughts. With the army encamped here, there is only one way to quickly gain control of this shelter, to become its representative. Glancing at Gilsang, who was arguing vehemently, his mouth moving nonstop, he wondered if one of them was responsible for this. Hongjin continuously refuted and denied all accusations. Or was there a mastermind pulling the strings from behind, manipulating the crowd? Rage surged within the brother as he thought of the cursed traitor. Where are you hiding? Somewhere dark. Rows of blue glass jars containing human bodies line the cold walls. Grotesque, half-human, half-beast corpses were pinned to them like a gruesome collection. A gaunt man, skin and bones, with deep-set eyes filled with tears. And some creature greedily drains the lifeblood from its unfortunate victim. Crimson drops splatter onto the pavement as the wheels turn. It's Go Song, transporting the body of the murdered man. His face is etched with worry as he hears an unusual sound. Erin lifts her blood-smeared face. Her horrified scream shatters the silence. She quickly ducks behind a large container. The sight that greets Go Song is the victim lying motionless on the ground, his body drenched in blood. And as he looks closer, he recognizes the contorted face of a man barely clinging to life. Erin suddenly appears right behind Go Song. A loud noise rings out. However, she's easily subdued by Go Song with just one hand. His pupils constrict violently as he moves closer to Erin. You stupid bitch, he snarls. I warned you not to touch my things. Erin is thrown to the ground, weakly leaning against the wall. Blood. She weakly pleads. Please, it's not poison blood. Give me fresh blood, quickly. But after waiting, she only sees Go Song standing by the lab table, seemingly indifferent to her pleas. A maniacal laugh ripped through the air, his cackling echoing like a thunderclap. The gruesome sound filled the room, overflowing with bizarre experimental tanks. Inside each, a human body floated suspended in a grotesque parody of life. He lifted a vial, his eyes filled with contempt as he gazed at the creature within, as if observing a fool. Drinking this filth to quench your thirst is like pouring salt water into your guts. The vampire cursed under his breath. Crazy old perverted damned fool. Unable to contain her questions any longer, she shouted, Why are you dragging those innocent soldiers into this? What's your purpose in this so-called infiltration process? Go Sung let out a sinister, calculating chuckle. Once the infiltration process is complete, what can those insects do to stop me? They're powerless. Instead of getting my own hands dirty, I'm simply borrowing their lives to replace what I need. Erin. Still haunted by the battle with Sergeant Jong Jun, Erin roared in frustration. You're the fool. You imbecile. Do you know why we failed miserably 7 times? It's definitely those damn soldiers. They're completely different. Before he could finish, Go Sung suddenly slammed his fist on the table. I don't need to hear your pathetic excuses. Erin is furious because of your disastrous 7-game losing streak. Simply because you're utterly incompetent. He turned around, boasting arrogantly. Just wait and see what happens next. With a sinister smile and a grotesque green vial in his hand, he growled, The lives of everyone here are in the palm of my hand. The scene shifts to the shelter's dining area. Hong Jin of the Merchants Association was devouring the food in front of him. From afar, Gil Seng approached, grumbling at him. How can you waste your rations so carelessly? Huh? You must be letting your hunger control your actions, right? He immediately retorted angrily, pointing towards the refugees behind him. Look at this poor child. How can you utter such heartless words when we all know they've endured gnawing hunger these past days and immeasurable suffering? The cause of this tragic situation is, before the food rations could be properly inspected, the chairman of the Merchants Association distributed them to the people on his own authority, according to his own personal whim. Hong Jinho loudly questioned, demanding clarification. You can't use food rations as an excuse to control us. But Gong Suktae did just that, didn't he? The accused, Gil Sang, immediately retorted, What? You think an esteemed member of the National Assembly would do such a terrible thing? Don't make such baseless accusations against me. From afar, Hui Guk silently observed the unfolding argument. A seasoned politician, the assemblyman was offering cunning rebuttals, extremely strict, meant to solidify their position here. However, we can't rule out the possibility that they are the traitors. Junimo approached him, carrying rations. Sergeant Lee Hyanguk. He hesitantly asked, Can we receive our rations now? Hearing this, Hyanguk shouted, stopping him. No, someone is behind Gong Songtae. He's definitely scheming something. What if he poisoned the food? Junimo heeded his warning. Security here will be completely compromised if we become his victims. Are you all right? And he whispered, No. Suddenly, someone brought a tray of food to them. Why don't you try these hot and delicious meals and fragrant dishes? Old Go Song offered warmly. This meat is delicious. Please eat up. However, Sergeant Lee Hyanguk refused. Food supply is the most crucial factor in disasters like this. We cannot take the relief food meant for the citizens who are being evacuated. We've already received our rations from the military. Junimo hesitated, looking at the food tray with a conflicted expression. Go Sung tried to persuade him, but Hyanguk firmly pushed the tray away. Don't worry about it. The words stunned him. Suddenly, Lee Hyanguk's radio crackled to life. Hearing this, he told him to wait a moment, then turned away and picked up the radio to answer. Sergeant Lee Hyanguk speaking. They're reporting that. I was going to head down there myself with you guys. Made you use your spray, huh? No way. Who told him to be so dedicated? Damn it. Elder Go Song frowned, his gaze fixed disapprovingly on the young man, Junimo, beside him. Junimo stared longingly at the tray of food, his mouth watering. The tray overflowed with a delicious assortment of meat, fish, and vegetables. Suddenly, the elder let out an ah and turned to ask, But on a more important matter, do you have any news about the task I gave you yesterday? Yunmo quickly replied, Yes, sir. We are actively investigating. Please rest assured. Hearing this, Elder Go Song smiled with relief. Oh, good. That's good. The scene shifts to the raid team and Brother Guk, standing before the entrance to a dark tunnel. The tunnel was covered in strange plants, like vibrant red roses with an eerie glow. Manhwa held her rifle, observing the surroundings. These are definitely not ordinary plants that we would find on Earth. The temperature here is also very unusual. He turned to her and continued. This place could be one of the reasons behind the recent invasion. He agreed with this viewpoint. Yes, if we can't stop this threat. Remember the horror when the city was ravaged by those monsters? Like the first attack in California, with those ferocious green-skinned goblins. Then the second wave that hit Shanghai, and the terrifying withered mutant trees in the third attack on Berlin. He frowned deeply, his face etched with worry. Seoul will soon be overrun by monsters too. His eyes widened in alarm. You need to increase your strength quickly, along with the rest of your teammates. Sergeant Kim say he and I will always be behind you, supporting you. The hallway ahead was shrouded in a thick, eerie fog. He let out a groan of frustration. Of all the places, we have to take refuge in this cramped, dark bunker. How unlucky. Wind whistled through cracks in the roof of the makeshift shelter. A little girl, holding an empty cup, politely asked, May I have some more water, please? Go Songhyun gracefully knelt on one knee and gently poured water for the little girl. Thank you, sir, the little girl politely replied. Hidden behind his benevolent expression was a sinister smile full of calculation. Ah, Yure Soun Luki. Just try it. See if you can stop me with that damn military discipline. This isn't just some ordinary invasion portal. It's on a whole other level. Inside the gate, the sergeant and private Se watched in horror as viscous slime dripped from the monstrous plants. She asked anxiously, Sergeant, can we really do this? If this is what's causing the invasion, isn't it Beyond our capabilities? Hyengu, keeping watch, immediately agreed with her. It's completely different, like some kind of monster lore. The severity of this invasion demand an elite S-rank squad, working together to counter it. COE suddenly exclaimed in astonishment. Isn't that practically suicide? A spatial gate abruptly burst open amidst the thick vines, creating a powerful shockwave that knocked them both off their feet. Hyung-guk burst into hearty laughter, his voice full of confidence. We will stop them. As soon as he finished speaking, horrifying creatures poured out from the gate. Min Hyung stared at them in wide-eyed terror. Giant, lizard-like monsters swarmed out from the vines. Hyung-guk roared with steely resolve. They've nested in the bunker. There's only one way forward. All we have to do is defend this bunker. Hyung-guk yelled. Sergeant Kim said. Despite her immense fear, she immediately obeyed the order. Countless souls erupted from the woman's body, launching themselves at the horde of monsters. Each strike from the spirits landed true, forcing the monsters to reel from the impacts. However, the monsters seemed impervious to the piercing attacks. The souls shattered into fragments upon contact. Min Hyun, focused on the fight, asked with a worried tone, "How much longer can we hold out like this?" One of his brothers-in-arms roared as he fought. Fall back. Retreat. Ahead of them, the chaotic battle raged on, but the souls were slowly being dissipated, while the monsters continued their relentless advance like a rising tide. Min Hui shouted in alarm. This isn't a retreat. We're being pushed back. Suddenly, a colossal monster emerged from the dense tangle of vines, clinging and crawling its way out. It placed one foot onto the bare ground, but the foot suddenly oozed blood, pulsing with dark veins. Gukwai gritted his teeth as he observed. The invading monsters were being severely affected by the surrounding environment, surrounding Young. Therefore, expanding the invasion's reach from the gate is crucial for them. The monster also seemed surprised when it noticed its legs slowly deforming. The moment it pulled its leg back, meaning it left the gate's area of influence, their defensive capabilities would drop below normal. Jung used his magic to summon iron beads from the container. Sergeant Kim, say, when I rotate these beads, compress the wind flow. I'll use magic to control these flying beads to increase their speed to the maximum. We'll wipe them all out in a single blow. Hearing this, Sei quickly sheathed her sword at her sides. The spirits fighting the monsters were all recalled. Before the monsters now stood only two people and countless iron beads, floating mid-air, radiating immense magical power. Hyun-duk smirked, a condescending sneer twisting his lips. The action was a blatant challenge to the ferocious horde of monsters, those repulsive frog-like creatures. Have you ever heard of the legendary blender? Today, I'm going to personally grind you all in a fine powder. He flicked his wrist, controlling the steel orbs, sending them swirling into Seihai's whirlwind of magic. Hyun-duk immediately ordered the attack. The girl obeyed, channeling all her magical power into the power-infused orbs. Thanks to Seihai's power, the speed of the orbs multiplied exponentially, transforming into a devastating tornado that ripped through the monster ranks. The monsters scattered, engulfed in the fierce whirlwind of the destructive attack. Hyun-duk and Seihai worked in perfect harmony, maintaining a relentless offensive. The reason for this invasion is truly a godsend. If we don't stop them now, we're doomed. We have to stop them at their lair. Hong Jin struggled, gripping the railing of the stairs. Nausea churned violently in her stomach. What's happening to me? He grimaced, sweat pouring down his face. Suddenly, a sharp fong erupted from his jaw. Hong Jin abruptly transformed into a monstrous beast. He roared in horror, unable to believe what was happening. Then suddenly, Hong Jin's neck was sliced open by the AI, blood gushing out like a waterfall. The AI's mission panel appeared. A hidden mission was displayed on it. With the introduction, stay away from incompatible light and hide in the shadows. First mission complete, survival experiment. Specifically, the beast transformation experiment has been successful 30 times, along with 2 ongoing missions. Slaughter 1,000 civilians and provide nutrients to sustain 30,000 otherworldly creatures that are rooted deep underground. Hong Jin's killer is a traitor disguised as personnel. The message on the electronic board changed to congratulations for completing the survival experiment, or more accurately, a biological transformation experiment. And he has achieved an extraordinary prize, a unique monster cultivation method. Its purpose is when channeling. magic power into those who have absorbed the player's magic power. He can summon a mysterious figure, shimmering under the mystical moonlight. Witnessing this scene, Go-sung couldn't hide his delighted grin. Finally, his long-cherished experiment was a resounding success. Now it's time to move on to the next act, placing the entire city of Seoul under his dominion. Back at the Dimensional Gate location, a dimensional gate suddenly cracked open, drawing all eyes towards it. The gate slowly widened, and the head of a colossal monster emerged, causing them to recoil in terror. They stumbled back several steps. In a certain city, the sky was gloomy and rain poured down. The monster that had just appeared was relentlessly, having just emerged from the mysterious dimensional gate. It found itself trapped in a confined space, barely large enough to contain its enormous head. In a fit of rage, it slammed its head against the ceiling, shattering it into 1,000 pieces. It lunged forward frantically, desperate to escape its suffocating prison, sending everyone in the building into a state of sheer panic. Finally, it broke free from the spatial chains, revealing its colossal form, blotting out the sky. Its earth-shattering roar caused the surrounding buildings to crumble in an instant. Each of its footsteps was accompanied by violent bolts of lightning, creating a terrifying spectacle. At that moment, a member of the AMT stood frozen in terror. Just for a brief moment, the Dark Lord, the monster from another dimension he had witnessed in a past life. Could it truly be this massive? Witnessing this horrifying scene, Hui-guk felt overwhelming indignation. Earthquake alarms blared throughout the city. As the colossal creature used its massive body, its colossal form suddenly erupted from the earth. He suddenly recalled the moment he annihilated the ferocious monsters, when a spatial gate unexpectedly materialized. Their corpses lay scattered and piled upon the ground. The mysterious gate seemed to herald a terrifying calamity about to descend. Witnessing the horrific scene, he urgently shouted a warning to everyone. The Lord of the Monsters is about to break free.